I'm responsible for educational programs at EdLife Africa. I was asked to come here to present this program simply because I was involved from its inception up to when we handed over the project in 2016. We wanted a project which will sort of be responding to socio-economic issues that communities are facing. And we also wanted to have models of projects that kind of talk to each other. One of the reasons why we installed the water harvesting tanks is that we wanted to have the water harvesting tanks to talk to the sustainable agriculture garden. And we also wanted the biogas digester to also speak to the agriculture side of things, so that all these programs can actually support one another. For an example, all these models that you see have been installed in one particular school. We as an organization, we have realized the amount of energy that is used during the purification process. So we felt that we need to have a water harvesting program in response to that. The biogas digester program, we've realized the amount of energy which is used in a particular school. So we put this program in response to socio-economic issues that the particular school is facing. Coming to overall objectives, to ensure that the communities living in poverty are able to manage and use natural resources to improve resilience to climate change and contribute to sustainable livelihoods. Increase food production for women in particular through water management, access to sustainable energy and waste management. Increased access to water, soil, compost and energy for growing food and strengthening climate resilience. Increased awareness amongst beneficiaries and policymakers to improve climate resilience at the community level by increasing water and energy security whilst reusing organic waste. So we wanted a project that responds to all these issues. We felt that this project should actually be driven by women. We are currently facilitating Women in Energy and Climate Change Forum. So these women are actually coming from community-based organizations. We didn't just do the project ourselves. The WECCF women were the ones that were actually guiding the process. We, as EdLife Africa, we appeared to be facilitators rather than being appearing as experts or wanted to be seen to be people that will actually drive this process forward. So what we did is we simply allowed the women to actually make suggestions and inputs on how best the program can be rolled out down there on the ground. Because we as EdLife Africa, we might not know where exactly this project can unfold. The project was implemented by Gender CC, which is our partner organization. They were focusing in Western Cape and Limpopo. It was funded by European Union through Oxfam, GP. And we as EdLife, we were focusing only in Gauteng. And these are the areas where the project, where we implemented the project. We're actually covering 4 municipalities at the moment. Tshwane municipality, we did not cover simply because the direction that we got it from the Women, Energy and Climate Change Forum. And in that forum, there are no women who are actually coming from Tshwane. So we've got women who are coming from West Rand, Johannesburg area, which is the city of Joburg, Magaliesburg, as well as Ekurhuleni. As I've indicated, that one of our partners is a Women, Energy and Climate Change Forum, which was established in 2009. Through that forum, we formed a task team comprised of 1 woman from each municipality, of the municipalities which I've just shown. And those women were actually mandated by the WECCF to actually represent them throughout the implementation of the project, because we could not involve every single woman. I think in that forum, the forum consists of about more than 50 women who actually come in a monthly basis for project updates and meetings. So the task team was actually mandated from that forum so that every month they could go back to the forum and report the progress in terms of how the project is unfolding, what challenges are there on the ground. Development is a process, and behind the curtains, there are a lot of activities which are happening. And this chart is actually showing all the process that we had to go through. We started from selection of project sites. We conducted the baseline up to the project handover. It didn't just end there. We're still monitoring, coaching the community working groups which are there on the ground. I will start with the installation of the solar PV. We've installed solar panels in schools, and each panel is able to produce about 260 watts. We also installed the 20 kilowatt inverter. System produces between 100 and 150 kilowatts per day, and it's a grid-tied system. I tell you why, because it's a grid-tied. It's because we wanted to install the batteries, but we felt that when we installed the batteries, we thought about the sustainability plan. What if the batteries comes to an end? How will the communities be able to replace the batteries? So we came to a decision that let's rather put a grid-tied system. This is not a Gauteng issue, but I think it's a national issue. A lot of schools are actually owing a lot of money to Eskom, or government, which is the Department of Energy, is owing a lot of money to Eskom. So when the departments don't have budget to pay Eskom for that month, they cut off their electricity. And the biogas digester, we installed about 6,000 liter biogas tank, 3 plates gas stove, the macerator, and the system requires about 15 to 20 kilogram organic waste to produce gas for about 2 hours. By installing this program, we managed to reduce the amount of money which they spend on LPG gas. Communities were involved from the beginning of planning and installing the technology, and so that they can understand how this technology works from its inception, and they can begin to claim the sense of ownership in the project. And the rainwater harvesting, we put 5,000 liters per school, drip line system. The drip line system was linked to the garden. We had pipes that were going under so that the sustainable agriculture program does not use a lot of water from the tap. So by having this program, we also introduced a lot of methodologies in terms of how your garden can be designed in order to save water. And with the models that we have put, how that can actually support one another. We also established the food garden, as I've established the sustainable agriculture garden. And because they're at the school level, they've got the feeding scheme program. What happened is that from the community, there are parents who have learners in those particular schools. So the parents and other community members are the ones that are responsible in terms of implementing those gardens. And the produce of the vegetables are actually donated to the school. And some of it, the community working group, they decide what is it that they want to do with it. So what we did is we put a shade net. We also trained them on sustainable agriculture farming methods. We also established the nurseries for them. Whatever leftovers that are from the garden, they don't throw it away, but they actually put it inside the biogas digester. We wanted to identify kingpins and champions in the community, and we also wanted to sell the idea and seeking buy-in from the community. We also conducted a baseline assessment study. We also called the community and provided them with feedback. We also had some consultation meetings in different communities in Gauteng. And we also had a range of community trainings. During the installation, we took that as part of training, skills training. But we also had basic introduction to energy and climate change, renewable energy, because a lot of people don't know what the renewable energy technology is all about. We had also leadership and team building, because in order to get communities to start claiming ownership, there are lots and lots of issues, structural tensions and changes, conflicts amongst communities. So we needed to constantly have those leadership and team building exercises to try and build working relationships amongst communities. And we also had other processes to try and raise awareness to communities, door-to-door campaigns. We also had learning exchange visits. We also had a project commissioning and handover. And one of the things that we said is that the funding cycle came to an end, but the project continues. One of the challenges during the implementation of the project was the time frame. The fact that funding came to an end, but there were a lot of things that had to happen. 3 years' time was not sufficient time to do a project, and you want to instill the ownership mentality to communities. And theft of solar panels was one of the biggest challenge, which demoralized some of the community members. But we managed to deal with it because we managed to the structures which were there on the ground managed to overcome that issue by intensifying their own structures on the ground. And we also installed security bracket system in the solar panels to make sure that the panels are saved. Fear of unknown is one of the things that goes around in the community, because the renewable energy technology, like a biogas digester, a lot of people are still unaware. And some they are afraid of making use of the system because they think if they break it, the whole blame will go to that particular individual. And others, they are afraid of taking the leadership. Structural tensions and conflicts, the stipend syndrome and notion, and lack of business acumen is one of the other things. In closure, I would like to say that if you want to be successful, you have to jump. There's no way around it. When you jump, I can assure you that your parachute will not open right away. But if you don't jump, your parachute will never open at all. Thank you.
I'm out of high school now for 2 years, so I have more of an understanding of what you're saying about schools and putting in solar panels and whatnot. What you said about the water tanks, I think that's an excellent idea to implement further, because at my school, they did have, at my primary school, they had begun doing that. But one thing that I do worry about is that it factors into what we're doing at P90 now in that youth division. This Saturday, we're taking a few learners from Kailicha. Not really learners, but the youth that's working in the campaign that we're doing right now. They are worried about like the journey that they're about to go on. We're about to teach them more about solar panels and solar use and how that works and functions in the economy. And one thing that a few of the people in my group were worried about is the safety and the maintenance of the solar panels.
Community involvement from the beginning, from the inception of the project is key, because the very same communities are the ones that will protect the technology. And also, throughout the installation of the technology, you don't install the technology and call someone to come and make use of the technology. But what you do is during the installation, you involve them throughout the installation of the technology, so that when it's got technical errors, the very same community members that were involved in terms of installing the technology are the ones that will fix. Since the project is happening inside the school environment, what happens is that the teachers actually take the learners outside to show them how energy can be generated from the sun through the solar panel system.
And I just would like to commend you from the organization that you're coming from. It seems like you guys have done quite a lot in the 3 years that you've been going on. And I was also going to touch a bit on the whole solar thing. I wanted to know, like, are you guys you have mentioned that you're continuing with the project, and I want to know if you guys are going to maybe start something new, or you're just going to focus on this for now?
I think you should expand your networks, your trainings and stuff with other organizations such as Treatment Action Campaign, whereby you can teach people how to do their own gardens on their backyards and stuff, so that they could have organic food, organic vegetables to sustain themselves.
Expansion of focus to other sectors, I think I've responded to that one, that we are partnering with other stakeholders to make sure that this project does not die.
How can, as young people, to make more garden to be friendly, attractive to young people? Because within the agriculture sector, there's few people who are involved. So how can we make sure that young people within the early age, let's say if you have a garden, primary or high school, they can be young people who are part of the agricultural team, who each and every day, maybe once a day, who go and do plantings.
We have realized during the implementation of the project that not everyone is interested in actually dating their hands, especially young people. So what we did is we partnered with social development around those areas of the schools. The social development, they've got their own programs, health-related programs, and they've got their own beneficiaries.
I think this transition we're talking about involves not only the energy part, but as well as the people involved, which is majority the poor people. Now, when you talk about energy, you're talking about something big. If I'm working for the next 3 years and I don't I don't have anything to put food in the table, what would I wear? As much as this is very important, I think I'm interested in how to, from the ground, make it into a business pilot.
We link the project to other social or other aspects which communities are interested in, so that they can stick to the project. So when they look at the project, they shouldn't look at the project, the renewable energy, biogas and solar panels, but we encourage people to be creative around the project. Like for an example, Department of Tourism, how can we use the project to attract tourists? Because tourists are no longer interested, for an example, to come and see animals in Mpumalanga, but they're now interested to see how communities around the townships are able to generate electricity themselves, or how are they able to harvest water.
What is a mechanism that you think you can use so that that system within itself can be able to sustain, so that there can be no panic when there is a problem, when there is no sun? What are other mechanisms?
Do you have a long-term goal of to manage or implement a energy system which is consistent?
I've indicated that when it comes to the sustainability part of things, if we thought that if we put batteries in the system, and if the batteries get exhausted, and who's going to replace the batteries once the project funding is over? But we have brought in other stakeholders, because one of the objectives of this project was to have a pilot project which we could convince government to say that renewable energy technology does work.
We leave the majority of the people, the biggest partner we are leaving behind, and that is the people. And I think the reluctance of national government and even provincial government, I mean in Cape Town, what Thabo is presenting, we have a project in Stellenbosch where a whole community was built on renewable energy, biogas, solar, all of that. And we're building new houses in Cape Town currently, and you don't see solar panels. You don't see all this infrastructure.
Some governmental departments, like your infrastructure development departments, they want to actually come on board to see how best they can ensure. Because now the municipalities are now beginning to talk about renewable energy technology because of the issue of climate change.
The debate or discussions we should have is the fact that these old communities, even on the Cape Flats, were built in the apartheid era. The whole aspect of those housing is wrong. The infrastructure is so wrong, and if we are going to start new things and have not looked at the past mistakes that was done to help the poor people, then we're losing the pot. As a nation, we want to rebuild, but I think our biggest thing, and we must speak louder about it, is that our government and local government, they're the biggest problem in the whole system that's affecting the poor.
We want to convince government. It is already happening. There are some governmental departments that are approaching us who want to kind of learn from this project so that they can see how best they can actually implement this project in their own respective provinces and respective municipalities. Thank you.